So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about costs in general and how things that happen for essentially cost are pretty broken. Well, in certain situations, maybe not so much, but in others, absolutely disgusting. So, one of the most disgusting costs in this game is going to be Cosmic Blazer. So, the thing about Blazer, well, first off, look for a hard once per turn on this card. There isn't one. Secondly, we have the cost right here is that you will be banishing until the end phase to activate one of these effects, and you can tell it's a cost because of the semicolon here. So whenever you attempt to activate Cosmic Blazer, it will be banished, right? And the only way to prevent this from, occurring is not to be able to negate the effect, but to specifically prevent the activation in the first place. Not negate activation, prevent activation. So I guess we could categorize some negates into broadly like we have negate activation, negate effect, and then preventing the activation in the first place. And I guess within that category, we could also throw in like removal to prevent you from going into the monster that has the effect to begin with, or simply uh, a really disgusting floodgate that makes it so that you cannot even activate the monster's effect, which is what I'm talking about in this case. But all right, because of this effect, this has a lot of disgusting qualities. So first off, if there is any skill drain like effect, then that has no effect on Cosmic Blazar whatsoever, because it banishes for cost and then the effect will resolve, meaning it is no longer on the field on resolution, and it will be getting banished despite having its effects effectively negated, right? Which would allow you to do every single effect. You have negate summon, negate activation, and negate attack, then end the battle phase. So all of these effects are activatable even though you're under skill drain. Disgusting. Now that's not the only part to it, of course. One of the other disgusting things, of course, is how do you actually remove Cosmic Blazer from the field? So let's think about this. If you have a special summon Cosmic Blazer, and we'll just assume nothing else, our goal isn't necessarily to win the duel, just to get rid of the Cosmic Blazer, or maybe we need to in order to win for whatever reason, right? Let's assume you have a guy that can beat over Cosmic Blazer Dragon, right? Well, then we have negate the attack, then end the battle phase. And also, even if you were to negate this effect, or negate destroy does nothing because it's banished. Then we have negate banish, does nothing because it's already banished, so can't really banish it. If you had something like negate shuffle, then that could work, technically. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And then we have when your opponent would summon a monster, negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster. So let's say in this case, if I special summon a Chenging, that can out Cosmic Blazer Dragon by, let's say, battle, right? Then we have the option to negate the summon, so the Chenging will not be properly summoned, it cannot be Monster Reborn. And also, Cosmic Blazer is going to be banished now, and it's very difficult to interact with. And then we have, of course, is preventing Chenging from attacking to begin with. Or in this case, it probably wouldn't have to be Chenging, but yeah, similar idea. And even if you were able to negate my Cosmic Blazer and then attempt one of these options, Cosmic Blazer will banish itself and therefore not be removable. And then we have this option here. When your opponent activates a card or effect, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So if you ever activate any card effect, I can just banish Cosmic Blazer. Even if negating whatever effect isn't that great, you know, Cosmic Blazer will still not be removed. So let's say you have Dark Ruler no more. Even if you Dark Ruler no more me, I can still activate Cosmic Blazer and it'll survive till the next turn. Well, If I won't, that's a different story, but Cosmic Blazer would if there would be another turn. And then also, well, actually, since you activate Dark Ruler no more, yeah, there will be another turn. And then we have like an idea like Raigeki plus Droplet. That wouldn't work either. And yeah, this essentially feels very impossible to out because of this banish itself for cost effect. And it specifically returns itself. So even if this um this would be, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? Well, it wouldn't really matter what you attempted to do to the Cosmic Blazer or if it was properly summoned or not. It says it must be synchro summoned, but there are technically ways to cheat this out. There's like one way, I think, and if I recall correctly, it does not count as a synchro summon, but allows you to cheat out synchro monsters or something. So yeah, in terms of just outright the most powerful cost that's beneficial to you, this is probably it. Just banishing yourself for cost makes the monster in question, well, it's not genuinely unoutable because here's one way we can out this. Well, Bestials don't work with their shuffle effects necessarily, aside from Dispatter shuffling this, which technically works. So this is a wind, can't shuffle that back with Regained. But Kashtira Ariser has the effect to attach banish cards to itself, so we could attach either like an SP Lil Knight or a Cosmic Blazer Dragon, and then it won't be able to return. So still like kind of outable, but just so niche, it probably will not come out or will not come up. So yeah. Then we have ideas like droplet-esque cards that just send for cost. So sending a card just for whatever reason, just getting it off the field is also pretty good, just in general. So if we have, for example, we could have a lot of things. So let's say we have infinite impermanence, or we could maybe have even like a kind of omni negate effect. So we have Beansmith Desiree, for example. So let's say in this case we'll go with maybe like a Raigeki, and then maybe our normal summon would be, I don't know, just something activating, like we'll go with Rosin. It doesn't matter that whatever Rosin adds will be like completely useless, but basic idea here. First idea, if I normal summon Rosin here, and you try anything targeted on this Rosin, when I remove Rosin from the field with Droplet, you cannot interact with this with anything that interacts on field anymore, because this gets sent for cost into the graveyard. So you could still technically, of course, like use Called by the Grave on Rosin to negate, but if we go specifically with the chain link of chain link 1 Rosin, and then you chain link 2 something to the Rosin, so that could be removal, it could be negate, like an imperm-esque negate, like for example Chisao. Chisao, how does one spell? Well, it's a struggle here. Oh, my brain was fried. Why did I think there was a Q in this name? But yeah, so maybe we're against Sword Soul, Chainlink 2, Chisao, Chainlink 3 Forbidden Droplet, and then you cannot respond with Baron. We could ignore the Chisao and just negate the Baron and get like a 2-for-1 special here, negating the Baron and the Chisao, and still resolving our normal summons effect. So that's pretty neat. And then we have the idea that's similar to this, where we just do this with spells instead. So we have like Desiree effect, then we have Raigeki effect with Droplet effect. So we go Chainlink 1, Raigeki, Chainlink 2, Desiree. Chainlink 3, Droplet. So once Droplet sends Raigeki into the graveyard, it's not really something you can deal with anymore. So the only way you could have realistically dealt with this situation, in my opinion, is specifically if we're going like Droplet on a lower chain link, or no, Raigeki on a lower chain link, then Droplet, you would have to directly negate Raigeki with some sort of negate, like for example, Baron negate on the Raigeki. And then after Droplet is attempting to negate like the Baron, you would have to prevent the Droplet from being able to resolve on your Baron somehow. That could be by negating the Droplet, removing the Baron, so it's able to negate. But if you do, this doesn't target, so it can negate another monster on the field. So still pretty strong, I guess. But you know, that's just part of the ideas of cost. So one deck that I think really uses this concept well is just innately Magispector. So you have Magispector Wind, and the only targetable, for the most part, that matters, I think, card here that you'll have is Magispector Orthrus Nue. So the thing about Nue here is that with a lot of your Magispector hands, you're able to actually search Magispector Wind, and the only thing you have that's targetable is Orthrus Nue, so your opponent will most likely try to imperm this and try to, like, hit this because it's the only choke point or even card that you can imperm. But if you have Magispector Wind, it's actually not that big of a deal. So you have the idea of well, we go imperm, and then we send Nue. And this is not an effect you can Ash. So, yeah. The only way you'd be able to negate Nue, assuming you were going second, right, would be a raw monster negate, which I cannot dodge with the Magispector Wind here. So, let's assume we go Chainlink 1, Nue, Chainlink 2, Ghost Ogre. We can still get this off the field and exchange it for a body, which is not too bad. We also have the idea of if Imperm or Veiler, just tribute, right? And then we can get a body onto the field, and then we can still resolve the effect. So this essentially gets you scales, then 2 monsters to Pendulum Summon from the extra deck. So if I do, we'll just resolve this part of the combo. It'd be like Nue 1, Imperm 2, Wind 3, and then all of the Magispector cards here actually have a when thing for the most part, all of the older ones. So we would want to go into Porcupine because it doesn't miss timing. So then we special summon Porcupine. This will reset the Wind for next turn. And then we will special summon one of our Magispector guys we put in the extra deck face up. And depending on exactly how many cards this combo is, it changes a little bit. But I think this is likely going to be a 2-card combo. So we will probably have 1 scale, meaning we can add 1 card to the hand to Pendulum Summon and 1 to use as a scale off of the Nue effect. So we should have 3 Magispector cards, essentially, that we can put on the field. And because we can do so, we can make Magispector Draco Ryu. And then next turn, we have reset like Magispector Wind. And it's just still combo. And because of this allows, well, in this case, Magispector, to essentially completely ignore infinite impermanence and also effect failure. And there are, for the most part, like no actual targets that are worth imperming in this deck, surprisingly. Well, if you play it correctly, of course, if you play very greedy and do not play around this, you'll just lose to, I guess, maybe the infinite impermanence. It kind of depends. And there are lines for Nibiru as well. Just throwing that out there, I guess. But, alright. The only real risk of Droplet sending for cost, or any card sending for cost, is that you can be called by the grave now, which is at 2. So it's not that likely I'll just say it's like a 1 in 5 chance around there to get hit by like a called by after attempting this sort of play. So it's fairly safe, I'd say, to attempt this type of play. And well, yeah, this just is a type of play you should keep in mind. It's not going to be like innately in every archetype, but you should also be aware that some decks play really well with Droplet, so there's a risk if you use your interactions in a certain way that you just get completely rolled over by like a Droplet situationally, right? So one idea, I guess, would be maybe let's say we have a card with a graveyard effect that we might want in the graveyard for whatever reason. So it doesn't fully matter, but let's say we are playing Tearlament, right? So let's assume maybe we're playing against Malice, and they white bindered early because we bluffed evenly really well or something. Well, would that actually work? Well, maybe we actually open Fenrir and we're bluffing to run over the Apo or something. That'd be good enough, right? So maybe our opponent is really worried about a certain card resolving and they want to banish it. I guess Tearlament's not the best example. I can't think of a tier line that would like describe the situation I want. But essentially the idea is we have a monster that they wouldn't want necessarily for us to send into the graveyard. So they would want to banish it. And to prevent this banish effect from coming through, we have like the idea of Forbidden Droplet here. And even though it is like a non-targeting banish, they do have to technically banish a card. So they could banish Droplet, which is something. But yeah, they won't be able to banish our card, for example. So we can dodge banishes this way, and it's just something that could potentially come up. I don't think it's guaranteed to come up, but yeah, if it does come up, this is a great option for that. And well, yeah, if there comes a point where doing this kind of play with Droplet, like there's some situations where it's not the best, obviously, but just thinking of a situation where we have monsters that prevent your activations in the first place, if those actually become commonplace or there's a really strong one that's very playable, then that'd be a pretty disgusting game state, wouldn't it? But yeah, costs are pretty abusable, and this isn't the only card that sends for cost. One of the things I really wanted to see in particular, well, it's not that strong in my opinion, but we do have this new card. I don't remember the name exactly. That doesn't quite send for cost, but is a very similar premise or usage as like Droplet. You know, it's similar-ish. So it is a quick play spell, and it should be SR rarity. And do I not have a copy? Or am I just Giga blind? There are a bajillion cards. Alright. Keyword destroy. That narrows it down a lot. Here we go. Final Bringer of the End Times. I wish this card just simply allowed you to destroy one card you control, and then one card your opponent controls. Instead of just specifically only being monsters. Being hard ones per turn, I guess, is like fine. But if I could, for example, destroy Raigeki, I would like that a lot. Or if I were to do like Rhoda, destroy Rhoda, that type of thing, big fan. And also, if we were able to like destroy our own monster as well, and then just kind of use this as generic removal to remove any card your opponent controls. That would have been my preference for like a card like this. But I mean, even as is, this card still has usage. It's not quite sending for cost, but it functions very similar. So the issue with Final Bringer of the End Times versus like Droplet specifically would be that if we were to go Chainlink 1 Rosin, Chainlink 2 or 3 Droplet, so if our opponent has another Imperm, if we replace Final Bringer with the Droplet, they can chain 4 a Imperm to still negate our effect. Which, I mean, it comes up sometimes. So there's that as well. And then there's also, of course, the other additional threat of something like just negating Final Bringer, right? So that'd be like Baron negate on Final Bringer, and then this doesn't resolve, this also doesn't resolve, and you just go neg2, versus if we went this, and then if this gets negated, this will probably still resolve, right? So it's not necessarily going to be every single duel where this will pop off this hard, but you know, because of how we can use this, it does have the potential to be incredibly strong. Does this halve first and then negate, or does it negate first then halve? Affect monsters, and until the end of the turn their attack is halved, also their effects are negated. I think this might have to negate. Well, yeah, I think if you imperm something, you can't droplet it afterwards to lower its attack, which is kind of neat. Kind of ish, somewhat. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.